Welcome back to Cancer Buzz TV. I'm your host, Summer Johnson. On this show, we aim to bring you the news and the latest issues in cancer care you need to know. Today, we're looking at financial advocates and the true impact of this service on patients and their families. Alan and Rivka Beck were newlyweds in 2019 when he was diagnosed with myelodysplastic syndrome, or MDS. He lost his insurance during treatment, and it was his financial navigator, Angie, who helped him find new insurance and a program that covered all the costs for his bone marrow transplant and treatment. They have a powerful story, and Alan and Rivka are here today along with Angie Santiago, the manager of Oncology Financial Advocacy at the Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center in Philadelphia. Hi, thank you so much for telling your story today. Let's get right into it. Alan, talk to us about where your insurance was when you got sick. You had school-sponsored health insurance, but what happened when you started your treatment plan?
So, 2019, I got sick and I had to, I'm not going to say drop out of school, but I had to withdraw. That's the word. I had to withdraw from all of my courses. Fortunately, fortunately, at that exact moment, I was still under the health insurance plan through the school till the end of the year. My transplant was in September of 2019, and health insurance through the school, is renewed annually. And I believe it's in August. So starting in August, I wasn't a student at the school. In fact, I wasn't a student of the school beforehand, but I was still under the insurance. But the new school year and new insurance year starts in August, and at that time I wasn't in school. I wasn't planning on being in school. I was getting ready for a bone marrow transplant. And so they said, "You're not a student here. You're not enrolled in any classes, let alone full time, and you cannot get health insurance through the school."
Rivka, I'm going to go to you. You met Angie. How did she help?
She definitely knew, she helped preempt a lot of the stuff that I didn't know was going to happen. For example, like the health insurance, we were able to get an earlier. We tried to look to see if there was going to be a COBRA situation with Alan's um, uh, college, but because it's not an employer, we couldn't. There was no COBRA option. Again, my health insurance wasn't up to par for a potential bone marrow transplant situation, and so that took us to the marketplace. And she mapped out. I remember her sitting down with us, and she had the three options. And because we lived in New Jersey, we also needed a plan that would properly take us to Pennsylvania because we were in Jefferson. And she said basically, it's your choice, but these are the ups and downs, and this is what's going to financially get you the farthest with helping you pay for it, because she was looking at a place that would help pay for our Alan's health insurance, because the premium was talking about close to $1,000 a month.
Angie, this is a really tough time for the Becks, and you stepped in and helped alleviate some of this burden. But this is only one of your patients. This is what you do every day, all day long within the cancer care program. Why are these services so important for both patients and their caregivers?
I think it because it helps with being able to focus on what needs to be focused, which is the patient, their journey, um, the financial burden. Yes, it can be there, but if you have a non-clinical support team that's taking care of that, that's allowing the patient to be the patient. Whatever medication you need, you're able to get it. You're not stressed about medical bills, but from the care team perspective, it's allowing the doctor to be the doctor. He's not having any burdens where the patient says, "I can't get that CAT scan because I can't afford that copay," or "I didn't grab that prescription from my local pharmacy because I wasn't able to afford it." Financial advocacy and what a program brings to Cancer Center is needed. It's patients aren't going to know what's out there. I always joke with my patients, and when we go over their insurance benefits, I get it. 20 years ago, when I was picking out my first insurance from my first real job, My concern was, what was my ER copay and how much do I have to pay for seeing my primary care doctor? I didn't pay attention to my benefits. I didn't know what inpatient benefits were going to cover. I didn't know what prescription coverage was going to cover. And so we see it a lot where patients have coverage, but they don't know how their coverage covers, so to speak. Being able to use your insurance, not having to worry about, am I paying my rent or my mortgage or my grocery shopping? It's a huge deal. It allows the patient to focus solely on getting better and their care.
Alan, I'm imagining that as you're going through this, that having Angie gave you the ability to offload a little bit of that stress of that financial burden. Can you explain how she helped when you were going through treatment?
Angie Santiago was one of our biggest blessings. Um, we sat down with her, I feel like it was in March or April of 2019, and she did talk to us a little bit about, what's going on and, the diagnosis and what the plans are and, what life is like, different kind of background things. The message that I got from her was, there are people out there willing to help. There are societies, agencies, the hospital itself is willing to help. It's not, here, take the money, but it's, but there is help out there. And once I got that message, the next questions became easier. The next questions were, okay, look up your financials, look up your bank statements, look up how much your rent is and your car payments and things like that. And, navigating through that, knowing that there were people willing to help was much easier. Knowing like, I'm not, doing this because I'm being audited by the IRS or whatever. I'm doing it because there's someone who wants to help me. That gave me a lot of It gave me a lot of confidence to continue with the process.
Angie, this year you're the chair of the ACCC Financial Advocacy Network. What has this group done for you?
Okay, so I actually joined the committee in 2018, and I am the 2022 chair of our committee. and when I joined in 2018, it was almost like a breath of fresh air. There was so much stuff where it was like, I was stationed in oncology in 2012. The world was solved by the business office with three things: apply for Medicaid, apply for charity care, or a payment plan. So, what the ACCC's Financial Advisory Network allowed me to realize is that there's other people out there in this same role building their cancer centers program, and they get me. Almost like we speak the same language, in a sense of I can go over a case scenario with them and get feedback. And I wasn't necessarily getting that from within my cancer center or within my revenue integrity department, because they weren't aware of all the external resources that were out there for oncology patients. So being part of the ACCC fan committee allowed me to get true training, if that makes sense. Because my original training was more based off of not specific to oncology, more just like, hey, these are the options for our hospital bill. And so we have the boot camp, we have the module 1, module 2, we have the Ready Set playbook, we have the ACCC digital guidebook for all the manufacturer programs. Um, it is just a lot of resources that live within ACCC, that when you're the first person starting your program or you're limited to one person, it just feels like you're part of a family. I know social workers normally have exchanges, and different specialties have exchange, or like a place where they can go to ask questions. That's ACCC for us.
Thank you, Angie, and thank you, Alan and Rivka. For more resources on ACCC's Financial Advocacy Network, you can check the show notes or head over to the ACCC website at accc-cancer.org/fan. On behalf of all of us here at Cancer Buzz TV, I'm Summer Johnson. Thank you for watching.